Hi YouTube, my name's Andy and I paint little silver men. Well, that's what my wife says, and I'm okay with that because painting little silver men's cool. And it was about some 35 years ago that I was into tabletop gaming, games such as Warhammer 40k, Fantasy Battle, Bloodbowl, a variety of RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, things like that. And at the time I amassed just short of about 300 miniatures, which we'll take a look at shortly. But first of all, I just wanted to quickly do is talk about what the channel's about. So we all know YouTube is a fantastic resource for sharing ideas, tips and tricks, as well as how-to videos, anything from novice to expert. And there are, some outstanding artists on YouTube doing these how-to videos and tips and tricks and things. Some of my favourites, the Vallejo guys, Angel Geraldez, Don Serratus. You've got award-winning painters such as Travarian. Some of another group of my favourites, the Squidmar guys. They do some great stuff. But what happens if you're not one of these vastly experienced artistic leviathans? What about the little guy? Well, as someone coming back into the hobby after a 30-plus year break, I wanted to take some of these tips and tricks and document how they work for the average Joe, me. I wanted to document the learning journey so we can look back, hopefully see a tangible progress, and just see how these tips and tricks work for someone trying to use them. If that sounds like fun, if it's a journey you want to share in, then please, hit the like and subscribe. I'd love it if this was interactive. When we look at the miniatures shortly, let me know in the comments if there's any particular miniatures that you're interested in seeing painted, if there are any paint schemes, painting styles that you're particularly interested in. I don't know, any advice or experience to share. This is a tiny channel, so if you put a question in the comments, I will respond. So let's take a closer look at what we're working with here. First group we have are the Bloodbowl minis, and we've got two teams, Elves and Dark Elves, with a couple of Ogres to boot. I know the more recent Games Workshop colour scheme for Elfheim Eagles seems to be purple and yellow, but legit, back in my day, purple and orange was the scheme I used for painting up these bad boys. Maybe we'll strip them back, give them a fresh look. They're certainly still really cool minis and deserve a nice fresh paint job. So good thing about these elven teams is you can have some fun. Paint up bright colours, big hair. It's like being back in the 80s all over again. The Dark Elves I had painted up in the colours of the Ulthuan Renegades. That's a mouthful, isn't it? However, I think I'd like to give these guys a bit of a rework, maybe paint them up as the Nagaroth Nightmares. We'll see. I kind of like the purple colour scheme, and you can get some great shading and highlights going on with the blues and the pinks. So hair isn't as big as the Elven team, but still from the 80s, these guys, and got some lovely detail. So the two ogres. I'm kind of leaning towards one of these guys as being the first paint job back. I've already said I want to try some different techniques, document progress, and having two identical minis like this, it would be great to paint one now and then do the other one a bit later in the journey, do a compare and contrast. It's also a nice piece with the skin, the metal, the leather detail. Next up we have Warhammer 40k, still massively popular. And Eldar just had some recent new models to the just been launched. So the ones here are original models from 40k first edition, so 1987. Cool, oh, blimey! Definitely not happy with the paint job on these. It was a while ago, so well, we'll have to give them a bit of a facelift. They're old school models, so maybe we'll go old school, old way paint job, set them off nicely. Probably need to do some research though, some reference artwork on the weapons. Not a big fan of the bone colour the Games Workshop seem to favour on these old ways, so yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any ideas. As you can see, we have one of the original Eldar Dreadnoughts here. This one was Warcry version. Unfortunately, being moved around over the years, it's not fared well, needs a bit of TLC. Be interesting repair job though. I'll probably take it apart and straighten things up, put it all back together. Maybe do some banners for the poles. I don't know. Similar state, we have the War Walker. I was obviously going multicoloured Harlequin theme at one time. Again, I think if we strip this back now, I'd probably go all the way to tie it up with the infantry, but feel free to comment if you've got any ideas. My mind's not quite made up yet. And finish it off, we've got Spirit Warrior, Ghost Warrior. Love this mini. Finally, we have a couple of jet bikes, regular Eldar one and Harlequin one. I probably need to research the basing on these. Original bases were quite small plastic, which broke easily. Pretty unstable as well, so as I remember, but given the metal's quite weighty, I'll need to do something on that. Harlequins will be fun though. These guys are my absolute favourites. Yeah, I don't know. When they were originally released, the schemes were very bright, pretty uncoordinated. You can see the box art here. It's pretty random. Everyone different. Noticed that a lot of the modern look seems to have them more regimented. Still fun to paint with diamonds and lots of bright colours. They seem to be a bit more coordinated now. So I kind of like that look. There was a teal and gold colour scheme I saw one of the commissioned studios do, which I quite liked. You can definitely be more adventurous when painting Harlequins. Not too sure I'll paint these straight away though. I kind of want to, do my best job on these, but they're such good models. I mean, it's going to become too tempting to resist. We also have miniatures from Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Boom, there's a game. Mainly Dark Elves and Wood Elves, but also a few Orc and Skaven, which will, give a bit of variety to paint. Now, obviously, Warhammer Fantasy Battle doesn't exist anymore, but there has been talk of the old world coming back. Or we could just paint them in the style of Age of Sigmar. So take these Dark Elf Cold One Riders, for example. You can see I started them off using the old school style blue. And to be fair, I think they'd look great painted like that, but we could do them green using Drakespawn style from Age of Sigmar. Even the rest of these Dark Elves would all look great painted in the style of Harlequin. We've got some Witch Elves you could do old school or referencing Daughters of Cain. Probably need to brush up on my lore, but we've got some, crossbows would be Dark Shards, and I think there's Bleak Swords and Corsairs, but I'd love to get some of the flags on these standards as well. So got quite a large selection of Dark Elf miniatures, make up quite a decent size army, all lined up with painted with the flags all done would be quite impactful. Again, with the Skarloc's Wood Elves here, could stay true to the old world or paint them up as Shadow Warriors. Either way, there's some great models with some nice detail. As I said earlier, I'd love this to be interactive, so if you have any ideas, don't be shy. Let me know in the comments. Then there's an Elven Attack Chariot. Much like the Dreadnoughts though, this chariot's taken some hits over the years and in some need of glue and a heap of TLC. But yeah, seeing it brought back to life will be pretty sweet, to be honest. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a project, this one, so I'm not sure it's going to be the first paint job on the list. A few other pieces, such as Chaos Dwarves, Melbonian Warriors, Riders, Orks. Wah! Who doesn't want to paint a bit of green skin, right? To offer a bit more variety, we have some Skaven, so we can paint some fur, practice some nice shading on these some of these robes here. But it wasn't just Fantasy Battle. I was also into RPGs, as I mentioned, and if I remember right, these minis were from a game called Paranoia. I can't recall too much more, to be honest. um, we have a ranger, could have been from Dungeons and Dragons or Middle Earth. Frodo, mate precious, a half-painted burglar, some ninja, Oriental warriors. I definitely like to strip these back, do a more reflective style paint job on the blades here, as if it was catching the light. Models have nice long blades, so it would be good to make make it a focal point on the mini. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere GW were bringing back some of these Oriental Nippon miniatures. So one of the best stances ever on this mini. Then we have some Chaos miniatures. We have Citadel miniatures from Lord of the Rings, Saruman, Sauron, and of course Nazgul. The three Chaos mages are Jezekiel, Ironface, Barakast, Hellrider, and the less dramatically named Headtaker. Or maybe not. Again, these guys have some nice robes, so to practice the shading and highlight, and come with a couple of Chaos familiars, a book with legs, weird, and some little demon girl, yeah. Finally, these two Chaos Warriors, armor of which might be quite nice actually to do some non-metallic metal techniques. And that's them. So, as I said earlier, let's make this interactive. If looking at the collection has given you any ideas, if any colour schemes you want to see, put it in the comments. What's your favourite miniature? Is there anything you're looking forward to seeing? Stick it down. I'd love it if people did interact and we're interested to see how things progress. So, yeah, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Until then.